You and I are in a constant internal battle every single day with one enemy called resistance. Now, we resist the things that we do not want, but unfortunately, sometimes we also resist the things that we want, because even the things that we want can be extremely scary to us, isn't it so? Yeah. So we find ourselves sabotaging ourselves every day and doing the very things that are hindering us from reaching our goals. Before 2023 ends, I would like to challenge all of us to take a very different approach, and that will certainly help us to achieve a lot of things that you may not have been able to achieve. And that is through using acceptance. Knowing how to accept what is as it is can be a powerful strategy to overcoming the resistance that you're facing in life. So then, let's dive into this video and find out how you can do so.
It's my dream, there are no lies. It's cold and dark, just like ice. I'm inside it, left alone.
Alright, so we live in an amazing world. This world that we live in is extremely amazing. There's a lot of good things about it, but we cannot deny the fact that we're also living in a sick society, a society that rather magnifies fakeness and coping mechanisms rather than what's real. A society that shuns what is noble and righteous and rather accepts what is toxic. Evidence for this is, look at how viral negativity goes. Someone who publishes very negative content, they are likely to do very well on social media. Why? Because that's just what the world is so akin to. People really love that content. A lot of people, not everybody. But the point is, those things are likely to do so well in a broken society. But does it change the fact that people are not okay? It doesn't. No matter how much toxicity sells, it doesn't change the fact that people are broken and extremely unhappy. So then, my point in this video is to really help people understand that we have to accept reality. We have to accept the truth and learn how to fall in love with the truth and use it to our advantage rather than running away from it using coping mechanisms. Okay. So one thing, for example, if you see that you've been in a series of broken relationships with family members, with your friends, everywhere you go, there is constantly a pattern of difficult, relationship battles that you face. One way is to blame everyone and say, okay, people are like this to me. But a healthier way is to actually self-introspect and think to yourself that, wait, I'm the common denominator in all of this. What is life possibly telling me by having this problem chronically following me? Maybe it's actually something about me that's being reflected to me that I need to accept, rather than hopping to the next person and the next person assuming that, oh, this one is the one that's wrong, and that one, and that one, and that one. It doesn't end. So the person that resists the truth in that situation, the person that doesn't accept that my relationship problems, actually, I have a part to play in them. It's not just other people. Of course, other people contribute to the chaos, but I too have my contribution in the chaos. So if I accept my contribution instead of being defensive, instead of running away from issues, instead of making excuses, and coming up with all sorts of coping mechanisms to avoid facing the direness of your relational situation, then it's really going to help you to make significant improvement. So then let's think about it. Someone that's facing relationship problems, if you're able to self-reflect, you actually realize that everyone that you meet has something amazing to teach you about yourself. Be it people that you don't get along with or people that you get along with. Everyone is going to mirror to you something about yourself. So a wise person is someone that actually sits down to think, okay, what are the common issues that I've been facing within my relationships, within my career, within my social life, within What else do we have? My health. What are those common issues? And how can I accept the hecticness of those situations, right? Rather than avoiding or pretending like they don't exist. So then the person that accepts that, oh, actually, if let's say, for example, a lot of people that I've met have told me that I am quite temperamental, so I have anger management issues. So then instead of blaming people for triggering me and making me angry, then I actually need to be open to the possibility of me actually being someone that does not have a good temper. So then if I am open to accepting that reality, it allows me to take the next step, which is exploring options of how I can possibly heal. I mean, before you heal, you first need to have a clear awareness of what the problem is. So maybe you'd be open to going for therapy or open to diving deeper in spiritual growth. You'd be open to growing. You'd be open to exploring that wound and finding ways to heal it. But the person that never accepts their issues, they're always going to chronically face the same thing over and over again. So usually sometimes we assume that, okay, no, my problems are because of all of these people around me. And then you think about relocation and you assume that if I relocate, then I'm going to meet different people and then I'm not going to have the same issue again. But actually it doesn't work that way. Life will always teach you the same lesson over and over again until you learn what you need to. And that is extremely exhausting. Imagine you are in your 20s and 30s and 40s and it's the same lesson that's being recycled. You're constantly seeing and experiencing the same thing no matter who you meet. So then a person that doesn't accept what's happening to them is bound to be stuck in one specific place in their life where they're unable to evolve, where they're unable to experience a different reality because they never accept that something is wrong with me. And as a result, unfortunately, life will always teach you the same lesson. So then, acceptance is wisdom. Accepting that, it seems like I am the problem here. That is wisdom. Because when you take that step, you're not always going to be the problem now. You just become the problem for that period of time. And then once you get that problem sorted, now you no longer identify with the issue that you used to struggle with. So then, as we can see, our lives can get so exhausting when it's the same issues that we're facing all the time. So right now, I'd really like us to take a reflective approach with this video. What are the common issues that you've constantly faced in your life? Be it with your career, for example. I personally struggle with procrastination. It's a terrible habit. And what I saw is that every time I've always tried to hide from this weakness, it followed me even more. So then when I accepted that I'm actually a terrible procrastinator, like I procrastinate so much, it's so bad. That acceptance helped me to first of all stop feeling so bad about myself or procrastinating a lot of things. And it allowed me to actually put into action plans and routines and timelines of when something is meant to be done. And it allowed me to reach out to friends that I know that are able to help me to be accountable to my goals. So acceptance is really beautiful because it really takes away that guilt. Because oftentimes when you're feeling guilt, you can be stuck in that emotion and you're taking on a lot of energy, pouring so much energy in that emotion that you're left with no energy whatsoever to actually invest in taking action and doing what you need to do. So then, what are the areas in your life that you feel like you've been constantly resisting the truth, right? Especially when it comes to, for instance, when it comes to healing from childhood wounds, things like that, I feel like a lot of people usually start to see a lot of, their wounds once they relate to other people, whether it's at work or wherever you go, as long as you're around people. that's when you're likely to be triggered and see your wounds. So when you actually see those things coming up, in you, what is your default response? Do you tend to defend or like avoid seeing that problem or acting like it doesn't exist? Let's say you have fear of abandonment. So with fear of abandonment, it can make you actually not want to speak to people, because you're like, if I speak to them and I'm close to them, then they're going to abandon me. So then not accepting that fear, not accepting that weakness, makes you to be stuck in that negative loop of always just saying, this is how I am. I'm afraid of, being abandoned, so I don't take risks. But then if you accept that actually I have this wound, I'm so afraid of abandonment, so then what can I do? Then you create space for yourself to heal simply by just accepting that this is where I am. When you accept the problem, your mind naturally starts to be open to solutions. You start to see solutions. It's just like how a lot of people invent things. Even for Facebook inventor, Mark Zuckerberg, I remember listening to him, and he was saying, when he invented Facebook, he didn't really have an idea of how everything is meant to be, but the ideas just kept flowing as he went. As he implemented whatever idea he had, another new idea came, and another one, and another one. So he accepted that, actually, I don't know all the answers. I don't know the whole process, what it's supposed to look like. But what I know is that I can do something right now. And by just accepting that, he took the first step, and Facebook was alive. Now we're able to connect. And as we can see, every year things get updated. I don't know if it's every year, but things definitely get updated. And that is the power of acceptance. You become so open to multiple solutions to your problems, and you never stay stagnant again. So another key area that is really, really dear to my heart is with relation to depression. So I know it's a very difficult thing to be going through when you're going through depression, and my heart goes for everyone that ever feels that way or that struggles with that mental health problem. So with depression, a way to actually recover from it is to consider accepting the hopelessness of situations. So essentially, people that usually struggle with depression, the main mentality problem behind that disease is that you basically want something, and you don't want to accept that you can't get what you want where you want to get it. So for instance, let's say you've always wanted your parents to love you a certain way, and they just never seem to love you that way, no matter what you do. So you've tried multiple things to cause them to see your pain, and you've really tried to bring out that love for you from them, and it's not working. So the more you don't accept the hopelessness of that situation, that you can't make another person love you, like to some degree, to a large extent, you can't make people love you. It has to be their decision. So you not accepting that maybe sometimes people will just never change will cause you to, hit that mental black spot where essentially you face depression, because your mind is just so fixed on one thing, and you're not accepting that it's not going to work. So you become so despondent, and a train of negative emotions just follows that situation. So a way to heal if you are struggling from depression is essentially to consider accepting, the hopelessness of that situation, and saying, you know what, I'm never going to get the love that I want from these two people. So I might as well invest the amount of energy that I was investing in just focusing on trying to get that love from that one or two parents. And I might as well invest that energy on someone else that I know that they are guaranteed to reciprocate my efforts and, to be sensitive to my needs. That's you saving time. That's you freeing yourself from that, dungeon of being in this one dark place all the time. But obviously, the best person to always expect, love and acceptance from, or support from, is yourself. So the more you can focus on learning how to love yourself, learning how to trust your strengths and abilities and put them to action, the happier you will be, because you can actually control, the amount of love that you give yourself. You can work on, improving the way you love yourself every day. But there's no guarantee that if you wait for another person to love you the way that you want to be loved, you're going to be able to do that. And that's why essentially, even I think in religious, setups, there's a lot of teachings about first you need to love yourself before you can love your neighbor, because you can't give to others what you don't have. And when we don't love ourselves, what happens is that we are essentially emitting the energy that's saying to others that there's something wrong with me, I'm not worthy of love. So people sense that energy, and what happens next is that they tune into that energy that's saying, oh, I'm not worthy of love, I don't love myself, I'm not worthy of love, and then they also repel. So that is why it's extremely important that if you feel like I'm just constantly struggling with rejection, it's best to look at yourself and ask yourself, am I rejecting myself? Do I love myself? Because if we learn how to love ourselves, naturally, that's the energy that you're going to emit, and others are going to feel what you think about yourself, what you believe about yourself, and essentially they will also love you, because naturally you have already showed them that I love myself. So then people, what they feel and sense is, oh, you love yourself, so I also like you, because you seem like you're so sure that there's something to love about you. So I also believe it, so I will also love you. So it really works that way. So that's why you see everyone that tries to get love from other people before they learn how to love themselves first, it's always a mess. It's always a mess, because you cannot get from others love if you yourself don't love yourself. Sometimes you'll find good people, they will love you regardless, but essentially it's always good to understand that whatever you're looking for externally, the first place that you need to look for that thing is in yourself. It's within yourself. So if you can manage to just accept that reality, then you won't constantly chase the wind by looking for love, looking for approval, acknowledgement, looking for a lot of things externally that you can actually, unleash within yourself. You can actually derive from yourself. You can, there's so much that you have in store that just needs you to activate it. But first of all, you have to accept that you are powerful. You have to accept that you are created with gifts and talents. You're created with so many blessings. You're created with a great plan for your life, and there's so many opportunities all around you. But if you don't accept that beauty of life, then every day is going to be a miserable day of constantly assuming that, okay, the worst is going to happen, and being out on guard for the next thing that's going to happen. So what I really would love us to think about is, have I accepted that I can never make other people love me if I haven't learned how to love myself? Have I accepted that sometimes what we think we will get from certain places, we will never get it, and it's okay. It just means that wasn't the right place to expect that thing. I can move on and try to find that thing somewhere else. It's like trying to apply at the same job all the time, and they're constantly rejecting you. It's better to accept that this job doesn't see my value. But them rejecting you doesn't mean that there aren't many other opportunities that you can knock at, and the door actually open. So the sooner we accept, the things that don't go our way, the sooner we'll be able to move forward and not waste time stuck in one place. Accept that change is difficult sometimes. people that gym already, they've accepted that it's going to be hard, it's going to be pain, but the result is guaranteed. If I gym, if I work out literally every day or as many days as possible, I'm going to get results. So that acceptance allows them to withstand the resistance that they face, that tiredness and laziness. They're able to overcome those things because they've accepted that for me to get this prize, this is the cost that I have to pay. So likewise, I'm sure as we are ending this year, we don't want to end it on a regretful note. We want to look at the year and be like, okay, I'm actually proud of 2023. So then, what are the prizes? What are the that was wanted to gain from this year? But what are the costs that we didn't accept? So if it's you sleeping less hours, you becoming more disciplined and spending less time enjoying yourself out there and grinding, is that the cost that you haven't accepted? There's always a cost to pay for every prize that you want. So then the sooner you accept the cost of what you want, the easier it will be when challenges come. You know, when you don't feel like doing it, because you've already accepted that I'm going to have to pay this price. So I've prepared my heart and my mind and my body to face this. So then let's accept the price that we have to pay for what we want. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we can realize our goals together. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. And most importantly, please accept how awesome you are. Because when you do so, then the whole world is going to do the same for you. Mwah. See you soon.